Cuphead is one of the most praised indie games ever, so it wouldn't be surprising that an add-on was in development shortly after the premiere. The delicious last course introduced new bosses, weapons, playable mysteries, and more. Just like base game, the DLC quickly caught attention of players who tried to beat it as fast as possible. This is the history of their achievement, a world record progression of Cuphead Delicious Last Course. Let's start from the beginning. The DLC was released on June 13th, 2022. Certainly, some people have already beat it that day. A guy named Niko Bellic said in his video that he will 100% the new island in about 20 minutes. Unfortunately, this can't be counted cause he started already in that area, and Cuphead speedruns begin from file selection. To find the first true world record, we need to look at SBDWolf, a pioneer at base game and Castlevania speedruns. On July 1st, he got a time of 15 minutes and 36 seconds. Let's look at the route. The beginning is similar to other categories. After collecting 5 coins in Forest Follies, Wolf buys Stretch Shot, which deals the most damage but has short range. To compensate for this, he will get the second weapon later, but now, to unlock DLC, a mausoleum needs to be cleared. This auto-scroller-like stage is probably the least interesting part of the run. In the island, Wolf collects 4 more coins. This is because Charge Shot, the next weapon, always spawns as a third one in the shop, so we just pay a little extra. The first 2 bosses, Glumstone the Giant and Mortimer Freeze, aren't that complicated. However, in the next one, Holy Aces, Wolf does a trick where he deals enough damage to prevent our plane from moving again. This time save will be used in nearly every future record. Esther Winchester, the only plane fight, is also the only place where he dies and has to retry. After a very mobile Moonshine mob, we duel Chef Saltbaker, arguably the hardest boss in the entire game. The main goal is to minimize the amount of pepper shakers by heavily damaging first phase during his attacks. Wolf unfortunately missed it and had to slowly make his way out. Later there's a short phase 3 and a tricky heart, but Charge Shot really helps here. And just like that, he had beaten the DLC. Overall, this run definitely had some slowdowns, but it was the start of a new category, only one day after DLC released, so unpolished trust and understandable. Few hours later, we will go to 1505 and 1449, mostly by avoiding a death on Esther and cleaning some fights, although he died on Saltbaker on the latter one. This is why he would go to save so much time on his next run, 1321, done on July 2nd. While it was Wolf's last record, it was also the first step of DLC speedruns.
The sub 13 is possible even with loads.
Few days later, we would see a second player join the story, Grondious. He's an expert in the main game, mostly known for developing new strats, and his legendary 1.1 record streak. The biggest difference between him and SBDWolf was using Lewzr instead of Charge. This definitely makes some fights harder, but then you can skip getting additional 4 coins and save about 20 seconds. These 2 weapon loadouts would become a staple of future DLC runs. It's not common for a game to have vastly different routes that can be valid for high-level competition, so that's a cool idea to shake things up. Like that, Grondious got a 1305 and 1239. In these runs, he used multiple Lewzr damage traps to speed up the bosses, especially visible on Moonshine mob. He also tried to keep in close contact to use as much spread as he could. Unfortunately, There's a big problem of all the cover runs have in common that we need to talk about. You see, usually when the game has loading between levels that's dependent on your hardware, the community decides to measure runs using in-game time, meaning they will be included. Cuphead speedruns are also done this way. But there wasn't a tool like this made for DLC yet, so all of the runs needed to be timed RTA. This made some players had unfair advantage over others, because everyone has different PC speed. But now, a law remover was finally created. From that point, we can analyze all the following runs in equal footing. With that into account, GamerAttack27 tried his hands on a new category and snagged a huge 1145, going back to charge shot for better consistency. On Forest Follies, he lost some time due to failing a trick to bypass Acorn Machine. By getting inside of it, you can either press jump and EX simultaneously, or do a well-timed jump to get pushed forward in the level. This 3-second time save is also done in nearly every other record. Gamer exited Charlie's tutorial faster than SBDWolf by immediately double jumping to the coin instead of using parries. Hit treble on Glumstone, Esther, Moonshine, and his Hullmaker wasn't the best, so it was easily improvable. A day later, Underrunner joined the grind. Markin wins. Strong early game gave me a lead, and even though he lost a bit of it, still concluded in 11:39. 2 days later, Grondious came back with his Lewzr spread route, improved the time by 6, and then another 3 seconds.
Oh my god. Okay, is that it? Dude, that's the world record! I got back! It just took a good Saltbaker fight!
What happened over the following weeks was one of the most competitive rivalries seen in speedrunning. Both these runners were going to basically ping-pong each other on who to get the record next. Let's look how they would shape the DLC.
Slip on it!
Dude, what is happening? Oh my god, that's it! Yes! Yes! Let's go! Got it. Oh my gosh. I need a good heart. Let's go, dude! Yes! 11-14! Dude, that was like the most garbage RNG on phase 1 too.
During the battle between these two runners, they will both discover tricks and small optimizations that will help lower the time. One of them is Snail Skip. During Moonshine's third phase, Antiter uses his snout to shoot worms into the player. It was found that a tiny part of it has two hitboxes colliding with each other. By precisely hitting this point with a charge, and making sure that Ladybug's health is on a precise value, you can squeeze out double damage with one bullet. This skips the last phase of the fight, saving about 3 seconds. Armed with new time saves, the grind continued, with no sign of slowing down. They've been training the time back and forth, but Grondious will eventually pull ahead, acknowledging Lewzr spread as the fastest way to go for DLC. Here's where we see another new trick implemented, but it doesn't look like any other before. Yeah, and that's pretty odd. How you perform this glitch is during falling animation into the Glumstone's last phase, before touching the ground, you need to use a double jump, EX, and very quickly dash. If done correctly, you will create this weird-looking giant pool effect. Unfortunately, it's pretty easy to accidentally get hit by most projectiles and fall down, but it still makes for a very consistent and cool final phase of the boss if you know what to do. The trick made getting to the later parts of the run easier, and it became a staple of nearly all future runs. On August 22nd, Grondious edged out at 11:11, broadcasted on Twitch. He struggled a lot on phase 2 holding aces. This part requires tight weapon cooldown management, so it can be tricky in many scenarios. Although the run had some slowdowns, it was still a record nonetheless. But here's something weird about this run. After finishing Soul Baker, he said this.
Oh my god, oh, it's a world record! Let's go, dude. First run with the new strat.
He supposedly mentioned a new strat on the third phase, where weird ground hitboxes allow for 2 very precise triple lober damage EXs, reducing a fight a bit. It was a cool small addition and all, but also became the first step of a completely game-changing strategy in the future, undoubtedly the hardest trick in Cuphead history, and just so happens to be on the very last boss. Ladies and gentlemen, I present you the Saltimate Jutsu.
Oh my god, what? What?
Dude, oh my god! No way, man! Oh my god, it did! It did! What? That worked? Enter your 551!
What?
Jesus Christ!
Let's go back to Grondious 1239 RTA time from early July. In this run, we see the first example of triple lober EX strat. I'll play a video made by Exclamation Mark covering this topic.
With a stroke of luck, brother Fabix531 found out that you could hit triple damage lober EXs if you position yourself all the way on the left side of the screen in the third phase.
This knowledge made the community wonder if it could lead to something greater, maybe even a phase skip. On August 23rd, Grondious wrote a message about a hypothetical way to do it. He also showed it on a video, which featured his idea.
There it is.
That worked.
It does, it transitions faster as well. Oh my god! That's without damage cheats, like that was actually just what happened.
That's exactly what people were looking for. Unfortunately, making all the Curse Strikers hit Chef at the same time was impossible without a damage modifier cheat. The community needed something more to replicate this glitch on vanilla.
Grondious wondered, what if you could do something about the lober trap in the third phase? The damage of the lober trap was always all over the place, and if you could somehow squeeze in enough lobbers, you could maybe achieve the phase skip. And so Grondious theory crafted for hours on end, and ended up with the Giga Lober Trap first version.
To put it simply, everyone's minds were blown away. It was now possible to skip the last phase without any modifications. Of course, that's far from getting it reliably on a run, but this trick alone could hypothetically save 10 seconds over a normal fight. That's not the first time people broke Soulbaker. There was a different glitch known since the DLC released, whereby frame perfectly triggering phase 2 and attack animation simultaneously, he would freeze for the rest of the fight, saving even twice as much time. A charge runner Yuka got an 11:13 world record with it in mid-July. However, because the glitch was inappropriate and got fixed in a new update, the community decided to ban it. While all of this was happening, Grondious kept trying, and after 11:08, he nailed it in 11:04. On Moonshine, we see another new strategy. By heavily damaging Ladybug and then doing a Giga Lober trap, you can barely prevent Anteater from attacking. It doesn't save as much time as Snail Skip, but still became the fastest way to clear the fight using Lober Spread. This run didn't obviously feature a crazy Saltimate, but again utilized triple Lober EXs.
Let's go, dude! What is that? Gold? Dude, that felt like such a casual run, I don't know.
At this point, the community began to approach a significant barrier. Only 5 seconds separated them from the 10-minute time. How we can get there? Well, holding aces could definitely be cleaned up. During first phase, Grondious barely missed a fast bulldog transition. He also got an optimal 4-cycle spider on Moonshine Mob and struggled with Mortimer. Saltbreaker time could have been better, even without the new skip. Combining all of that, you could go to about 1055 range, but someone would still need to take it there, and I think you know who I'm talking about.
I think that was good. No! Come on, man!
12 days later.
Oh shit, here we go again.
Still no sub 11, let's go! Dude, just like that! 1056!
He had done it. World's first sub 11 in DLC history. Nearly everything went exactly as he planned, with Esther being the fastest anyone has ever done. He increased the gap between second place to over 13 seconds. True dominance over everyone in the leaderboard. But Grondious wasn't done yet. He wanted to push it lower. Being ahead of this pace wasn't going to be easy, cause the significant mistakes were fading away. Most of it came from a slow phase 2 holding aces and 107 chef. Taking that into account meant a 10-4x time was probably doable to achieve. 9 days later, he edged out a record by fraction of a second.
Oh man, that would have been a 1047. World record.
Honestly, there wasn't anything new that had happened here, just a matter of micro optimizations. But we can't say that about what came next.
Nice. Yeah, I kind of, dude, a gold. Nice. Well, that's good. I mean, I kind of saved this after that terrible Esther. Oh, okay. This is how it's gonna be, huh? Yeah, we got the proper overdamage for the To get the curse shaker, perhaps. Okay, got him. All right, here we go.
On September 26, 2022, Grondious made history. He became the first person ever to hit Saltimate Jutsu on a run. Not only that, but he was also a huge new world record. People have been wondering if it wasn't too hard to pull off. But now, all doubts have been swept away. This showed that all these hours dedicated to research and development of the strat were really worth it. And it almost came down to the elusive sub 1050. Still, of course, the run wasn't perfect. He fell 5 seconds behind last record after Mortimer due to sketchy fights and messed up nuke on Esther, but Moonshine went nearly flawless. 3 days later, he got so close to reaching his ultimate goal, just barely missing Saltimate Jutsu.
I tried.
As would you expect, he kept grinding for weeks, putting everything to this one last record. The note came down to attempt number 715.
Let's go, dude. Yes.
Oh my god. Let's go. Oh my god.
The dream became a reality. Everything has fallen into place here. Flawless glowstone, moonshine, movement, tricks, and Saltimate Jutsu to top it all. He actually called it his magnum opus of Cuphead speedruns. And boy, he was right. Myhime had some competition in the past, now the category was dominated by just one person. As people said after the run, this was basically the end of DLC. Not long after that, Grondious retired for the category. He felt that he had done everything he wanted there. It cannot be understated how his determination formed the story. As would you expect, this time stood on top for a long time. 8 months later, not much had changed, still strong at the first place. It was that good of a run. But finally, by the end of July, the gap got significantly lower. 3 other runners wrote their best under 11 minutes, and one of them was going to make a push for the record. You might recognize him. After getting 1110 with charge, Markin moved to the Lobo spread and quickly found success in it. 1102, 1054, and by early August, it was just 4 seconds behind record. Honestly, there weren't any new strats he could do, just a matter of small optimizations all over the place. In 1045, Grondious missed fast kill on holy aces, losing about 2 seconds. There were also tiny blips in forest folies, and Saltimate Jutsu could have been better, but that's very unrealistic. On August 8th, Markin got on the run that fell down a bit after Glumstone due to an optimal geese attack. He made the time back from fixing mistake on aces and 101 Esther Winchester. Entering Chef, he was 3 seconds ahead of the record. It had a chance.
This match will turn red hot. It's on!
Almost exactly a year later, he was back on top. Celebration poured in across the community. Markin showed he was still capable of surpassing Grondious. For about 1 month, things turned pretty quiet. How one man was determined to break this silence. Exclamation mark.
Buy my merch and subscribe.
The Saltimate Jutsu had inspired him to start grinding out the category. One big problem that he still lingered in the community was the Saltimate Lobber trap, but he was very inconsistent in squeezing in a lot of lobbers to hit the trick to be possible. Exclamation mark saw the problem in this and he grinded out the lobber trap alone, and he became extremely consistent at it to the point where there was no one else more consistent than him.
Oh, 1054.
Did you just PB?
Yeah, I got PB again.
In early September, he started grinding, reaching almost 5,000 attempts in this category, and 1/5 of the day, he achieved a run with a 908 Moonshine exit, meant he had to get a really good Salt Baker. And he for sure did it, as he managed to get a 54-second fight.
1042.
1042?
1042!
Did you get record? That's record! That's record!
That's record?
What? 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 You got a 54? You just got DLC world record.
This was enough to just barely inch our record by 1/10 of a second. For the first time in over a year, someone else was in first place under the 2 veterans. Despite being very pleased, he wasn't quite finished. 2 weeks later, Mark got an amazing 902 Moonshine.
Wow.
This run was an absolute monster of a run. He had achieved the community best split times all the way from the Holy Aces to the Moonshine Mob. With the same Saltimate as before, he could destroy the category, maybe even on the 1035 range. A slightly unoptimized Flash 1 over damage meant he had to kill 1 more Shaker. Still, it ended as a 1039.9, which was the world's first sub 1040. Ironically, Mark said this marks the end of DLC for him. It was just a very satisfying point to finish here. So 3 months passed more or less quietly. However, somebody has been lurking in the shadows this whole time. That runner was GamerAttack, the same guy who got 1145 record back in July 2022. Now he has got a much better Alobo spread. From 1059,
Dude, oh my god, it's not a 1058.
What was the time?
It's not a 1058, it's a 1059.1.
later first PB with Saltimate,
Let's go. 1053.
Wait, me?
Yeah, I got Saltimate. I got Saltimate in a run. Let's go.
and then a low 1048.
Still PB.
Dude,
Still
that was a
PB.
record by a huge margin.
Still PB. Still PB.
Come on, come on.
Yes, dude. I
Let's
did it.
go.
I did it without Saltimate. Let's go. Yes, dude. Oh
Let's
my
go,
god.
man.
That was such a good. That was such a good stall without Saltimate. Let's go, dude. Nice.
1048 without Saltimate, that's like the new best without Saltimate.
That's so anticlimactic though, man.
Dude, if you hit Saltimate,
Let's
my
go,
record would have
dude.
been hit in 2 days.
Yes, dude. Let's go.
Despite not wanting to grind for the record initially, he knew he could play Salt Baker better than exclamation mark, even with a silver Moonshine exit. So he did attempts. losing countless potential 10-free X paces to this one boss. In fact, he had lost so many paces to Chef Saltbaker that a common meme in the community was the bottom right shaker, when GamerAttack would continuously miss spawning their cursed shaker in the bottom right corner of the screen. But finally, entering 2024, it would pay off.
I mean, to be honest, if you got world record, I'm just gonna count my losses and just stop. I mean, it is what it is at that point. Oh my god, yes, I did it, 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 dude, let's go. Oh my god, oh my god.
You did it! You did it!
Oh my god!
World record!
I did it, I did it. Oh my god.
54!
Oh my god. Oh my god, man. Oh my god. Okay, this is actually, 2x is actually impossible. Oh my god. No chance I missed that Lewzr X, man. Oh my god. Dude, oh my god! No way, man! Oh my god! What is this run? What is this run? Oh my god! What? That chef, I messed up that chef so bad, I don't care. Oh my god, dude! What was that run? What was that run?
Well, Gamer is definitely a determined runner, not giving up when everything falls apart. He took Mark's record twice, with the latter run cracking a remarkable 8:59 moonshine exit, a pace no one had ever been before. Some time was lost on Saltbaker due to unoptimal overload damage, but still ended at a 10:35. He said this run proved 10-2x can be done. Few months later, 8:58 moonshine exit came in, and his chef went beautifully, potentially 52-second fight. But unfortunately, as always, the game just said no.
Oh my god. That actually could have been 2x. There was no way.
That was insane, dude. What the frick was that run?
Oh my god.
1039 without Saltimate?
But he got to the end, in 10:39, showing how much ahead he was. On August 12th, he got another chance. A 50 glowstone felt kind of subpar, but everything else was quite the opposite. Maybe this time it will be enough.
A brawl is truly brutal. And begin.
Just half a second behind sub 1030. The sad sequence of events would discourage many from trying. The gamer didn't give up. He grinded month after month, pace after pace, and on December 3rd, 2024, this happened.
Oh my goodness, dude. Okay. That's not my actual best pace ever. That's like a 225.2 on my old splits, but this is insane. Oh my god. Dude, if I didn't get that friggin', like, if I didn't go set EX over at 352. Alright. I've never gotten a 502 in my life before today, and that's my second one this stream. That's ridiculous. Oh my god, dude. This is crazy. 45 aces? What? It's, oh my god. I only lost 0.04. That is crazy. Oh my god.
That was by far the best DLC run anyone have ever played. Practically everything went perfectly. Gamer wouldn't just jump off the barrier, he would demolish it, potentially 1022 pace to chef. For good Saltimate, this would basically be the end of the category. Due to the nerfs, he was unable to finish phase 1 over damage. A crushing moment at the very last boss. Gamer said in his description that it's doubtful he will ever get a pace like this again. He also mentioned something called a store skip. What is that? I intentionally avoided talking about this because it wasn't as game changing in the runs before, but the record had been so optimized now that it may well decide on an average or good pace. Normally, you have to wait a bit for the two skill level stars to appear after each other. By pressing up button at the exact same frame the first star will appear, you could skip one of the animations and make both stars show up simultaneously. It takes around 1 second per fight, but remember, you only have one frame to do it, or a 60th of a second. Gamer got extremely lucky and nailed 4 of them, raising his pace by a lot. But picking those splits definitely wasn't going to be easy. Like he kept trying, and it all came down to January 1st, 2025, exactly 1 year after his 1039. It was done. Gamer broke possibly the final 10-second barrier in DLC speedruns. Honestly, there wasn't anything bad that went here, just a demonstration of pure skill and dedication. It became the next Grondious, putting all the players far behind, dominating the leaderboard. It would take a huge effort for someone to beat it. Someone like Markin.
I always come back.
Hiding in the background, he was practicing individual level runs, optimizing boss times to their limits. In early 2025, he decided to improve his former 1042 record. Markin got up pretty quickly with a big 12-second cut, moving to second place, and then a 1029. Here we finally see a new strat implemented to the run, or rather re-implemented. On Glumstone, it was found that avoiding jump roll could actually be quicker, because previously Childs wasn't able to use EXs in a glitched state, bleeding some damage. Clearing the fight became once again harder, but Markin knew the timestamp was worth it. About 1 month later, the gun around her fell quite behind after Mausoleum, but picked up in the first 3 bosses. He messed up Esther's final phase and didn't get any store skips. However, that still resulted in an 854 Moonshine exit, half a second ahead of the record. For the third time after a long break, Markin came back at top. Not long after that, he did it again, with a 1026. Extremely strong time given how little number of strats were found. And here's when I thought the time would stand after finishing the story. But to my surprise, it wouldn't. and I'm very glad I was wrong. Gamer's Impossible Pass has been completed. That's one of the most impressive runs I've seen in Cuphead history. It was of the first record to incorporate lunar eclipse. On Moonshine Mob, Gamer found a way to do Slaying Skip with Lewzr. It looks similar to Saltimate Jutsu.
I did it, and I got the death KO. Let's go, dude.
By shooting 2 EXs when Tito ejects his snout, it can deal double damage and kill the boss even earlier. Since Miss Chalice dies here, extra 0.8 can be saved on the scoreboard for a total of 4 seconds of our Tito skip. Unfortunately, there's only a 1 in 3 chance to get this specific pattern, so players were only going for it as an emergency strat. But the time got so optimized that in the future, it might be mandatory to take a risk. Markin said his worst fights were 48 Glumstone and 102 Exter, which really speaks for the quality of the run. To make up for the losses, he absolutely destroyed Soundbaker in 51 seconds, topping the community's best segment. In early August, Markin improved the time by a third of a second. It could have been a 10-1x if he dies Jeff, but one of his spread EXs got in and over damage, forcing him to do 5-shaker fight. It was just this one boss preventing him from cracking a new barrier. But probably also came down to the point where lunar eclipse and star skips are basically mandatory, so every record gets more and more RNG heavy. For the past 3 years, people have been changing their mind on how low the category can go. Sub 11, 10-4x, every next barrier became harder and luckier. People stated that their records are the end of the world. Exclamation Mark said it, Gamer 2, and then there's Markin. Looking back at the history, it's inspiring how players managed to help themselves and push the times that far. Still, there are some strategies and misplays that can be improved in the future, both realistic and unrealistic for the run. Let's look at them. On Mausoleum, because of the cycle shenanigans, there's a very low chance for the player to parry one last ghost, saving a second. You can barely parry the pink gnome when shooting the puppets, saving more damage on Gloomstone's mouth. Mortimer, holding aces, and Esther can save about 5 seconds combined for better luck and execution. Now on to Moonshine. 3 cycle spider is good, but there's something else which can be done. By hoping you get the cobweb bomb and bottle pattern, like on Antidote, you can set up a lobber trap with double damage EX and 2 cycle him. It has been done recently on IL practice, and combined with a double knockout which the world record missed, could save 2.5 seconds. In the 1019 record, Markin got a 4 shaker fight. While optimizing Chef, in practice, he managed to deal an enormous overdamage, skipping 2 of them. With that, he cracked an amazing 49-second Salt Baker. However, that's definitely not viable for a run. Combining all of this, a perfect run of DLC would be in the 10:01-10:02 range. While that's pretty much impossible to do, getting close to it seems more and more likely in the future. I personally think 10:15 would be about as fast as the category can go. It's hard to say whenever 10:0x is happening. Markin has got a better paces deep into the run, even on an 8:44 Moonshine exit potential, a thing considered a pipe dream not long ago. He seems to go for the lunar eclipse on all attempts, so that's a pretty big leap of faith. While the optimizations are inevitable, and with each record we're getting closer to the human limit, we can't forget about one crucial lure that stays true. Nothing is certain in speedrunning. Thanks for watching.